Okay, so for today's Lunch and Learn, we will go through the process of transitioning from a traditional Blackboard Learn course to a Blackboard Ultra course. As you can see at the top of the screen, there is a lock icon to make it unavailable. So that's the first thing you do is make the course unavailable, and magically, this little pencil pops up. This little pencil is your key to check out a Blackboard Ultra class. You can hit this button and we will go through the process of it converting. This is not your end all be all. This will allow you the opportunity to test if you want to have this course transition to Ultra. So let's hit this button. And then it asks, try the Ultra course view. And this also gives you an out. I'll keep the original course view for now. Well, let's go for it. Try the Ultra course view.
And Chuck,
And then you
even
go
if
back.
you,
Oh, go ahead.
I'm sorry, I was just gonna say, and if you click that, there's still a way to change it back afterward, right?
Right, absolutely. A few things that we learn as it's converting it now. We don't want to do this during the semester. So if your course has already started, we've seen a couple complications with trying to convert a class while the class was in session. So make sure it's before the semester begins, just so you don't lose any student content or student information. So it's still marked as private. You can see it says converting still. And there's quite a bit of content in there already. This course was in module view, not folders, so that will make things a little easier. So I just received an email that my course is done converting, even though it still says private and converting. So let me do a good refresh here. Let's see what happens. And it's a sandbox. There we go. So now when I click on this, this will be in the brand new Blackboard Ultra view. So very different. Now the content areas, instead of the side navigation for Blackboard Learn, all of your content areas are here on the side. So the first thing I need to point out is just the simple fact that when designing a Blackboard Ultra class, you look at it differently. The navigation is much more like Canvas. Some of the things I try to delete because it doesn't make sense here anymore. One quick way to delete things you don't need is the three little dots at the top of the page, where you can do a batch edit. And I want to delete a couple things. So we'll go with those two items first, and there's a drop down, delete items and deleted. So that takes a second. You can see the little wheel is spinning. Please wait a while your content updates. I can hit the little X. All of the content is now in this folder, which I believe is a little sloppy. So you can move some of the content to be its own thing. So that's my little schedule. So I'm going to delete that for now. And then you can grab items and just pull them up.
Is preliminary content there one of your modules? Or
it's a module that I have the introductions in there. I have the quiz, like a syllabus quiz. So things I want them to complete before they complete the first module.
Oh,
That's
great.
not something that's required, but it's just something I had in this specific class. So there's my 7 things, something that doesn't really work in Blackboard Ultra, and then I can delete this entire folder. So I try to clean it up quite a bit. Here I have a bunch of student help type items. I try to simplify that too, so I can like grab them and pull them up. And the drag and drop, if you've used previous versions of Blackboard Ultra, this drag and drop was not desirable, but you can see great improvements now. And just be able to drag things wherever you like. Student services. And then some of the things like you can click in here, there's multiple items. You can consolidate these pretty easily. If I wanted everything to live in start here, if I wanted everything to live in syllabus and course information. Notice in the transition, it messed up the writing. So pay attention to that. Anytime there's quotes or ampersands, it tends to mess that up. So you hit the 3 buttons, fix my misspelling of the word information. And then hit save. And that fixes that stuff. The other weird thing I noticed when making the transition, and one of the first things I usually do is under discussions, it for some reason puts them in a folder. So you can also drag these out and delete the little folders. But this looks like it's the old drag and drop, so this might be frustrating. So I like going through and just organizing things. So make sure to go through your content areas. I'll go to week 2 because it's just the first normal week. We have a content introduction area. I have a lecture area. So notice that maybe some items don't copy over right. This looks like it was a video or the old style of Kaltura embed. So does it work? No, for some reason it doesn't work. So pay attention to these things when they copy over. You might have to embed some Kaltura videos again if they were in the old style of Kaltura. I have, these are little knowledge checkpoints. And these were H5P activities. They still work because it's a link and it opens in a new window. So make sure to click through, and you can click through like any one of your boxes to see like what works and what doesn't work. Once again, you see like it created a folder for the discussion. What Ultra did is on the original content area, I had a description of my discussion. So that's this. But also I had on the back end, because the discussions lived in 2 places, just basic information. So as long as you don't miss out on something. So this is the original question that was in the content area. This is the basic information. So make sure that you don't lose any of your directions that could have been on one or the other if you phrased them differently. And once you added all the directions to the actual discussion, you can delete this folder. It just acts as a content area. Blackboard Ultra didn't know what to do with it. So make sure to have all the information for your discussions in the discussion area. Click on that, and then you can edit them in place when you click on it. So you can go to edit and update your information. Look at your writing assignments the same way. So here's a writing assignment, or I have quizzes. So make sure all of the quiz information came through. Just give everything a good once over. If anything looks redundant or you have to fix it, then you can update it. I had many faculty members that said, this looks like a lot of work for now. Maybe I want to postpone it. You can always go back to your original course view. Any questions from the crowd?
So the things that you've mentioned changing are the discussion boards. And then did you say the writing assignments can also group themselves?
I would always just check writing assignments. So here's a writing assignment. And it looks like it came over fine. Even my banner came over fine. The instructions came over fine. I have a rubric. It looks like the rubric worked.
Oh, great.
So it looks like overall these work fine. I think one thing that we should really pay attention to is maybe providing a little better description in how to add content. Before, Blackboard had a really obvious drag and drop area for student submissions. Now the students have to, and it's not in student view, but now students would have to click in this text box and a paper clip shows up. And it's not super intuitive for them to click the paper clip because it doesn't specifically tell them to do that. So maybe we do want to add directions on how to upload an assignment, and it never hurts to add something along the lines of make sure it's a Word or PDF file, just so we can grade it on our end. But most of the same features are there. There's safe assign. You can provide points, put in a category, put in a due date. So aside from it should come over fine. But aside from that, I think more specific instructions on how to submit it are needed. And that's a good question, Katie.
And I think you may have already answered this, but just to check, rubrics do tend to copy over pretty well.
And they're easier to update too. So if I go to this writing assignment and I go to my rubric, it's a lot more user friendly to click the little pencil and update.
Oh, very cool. Yeah. Okay. And then, oh, I'm so sorry.
Go ahead.
I just had one more question. I'm wondering how it does with just like PDFs or materials that aren't embedded, like a Kaltura video. Does it tend to copy those over properly?
So it looks like in this class, I built this before we had the newer version of Kaltura's embed.
Sure.
And it looks like that didn't copy over right. I think if this was a more recent course, then that Kaltura link embed would have showed up just fine. I can go into like this content area, and I would probably have to replace this mess with new versions of Kaltura, which isn't bad. We just have to go like, it made it really odd. So it might even have to be like a new content area, or here we go. It's all the way up here. So edit.
Okay.
And then get rid of this. And then go to content market, Kaltura embed, and it will put it in the correct, as this will take a little bit because we're on Zoom. I'll just pick the most recent one, hit the embed button. But you would probably look for your video that you already have in Kaltura. The video is not gone. It was just the embed option, and it embeds just fine. And then hit save. And that works fine. It was just that this was the old embed option that like from a few years ago that provided that wonky little table next to the video. And it was pretty much just a link, but even the link doesn't necessarily work because it's the old style. So if it's newer, if you did the Kaltura videos recently, they'll copy over just fine.
Oh, good. What about, is there anything in this class that's like a PDF or that sort of thing shared with students, like a reading, or do you do mostly links?
I do mostly links. Let me see how I did my syllabus. The syllabus was a link, I think, to a Google Doc.
Okay, cool. That works even better.
That opened. Let me see. Here I had just embedded an embedded table for the schedule. Some stuff are just like relics of like old Blackboard, like this banner image does like it's there, but it doesn't make sense anymore. So just pay attention to like some of the little tricks. I think that that's from a tweak that worked just great in Blackboard Learn. No, I'm just kind of looking at my content areas. But those should copy over just fine without much issue. I think the biggest issues are making sure your videos work and then tidying up your discussion forums, just because it gives you that folder and that discussion area. And you might have like this one, it's the same information. So I feel okay about deleting this one. But if they're different, that also makes you think about like, oh, okay, like that's something I should revise. And this is a great opportunity for you just to look over your content. Does it need to be updated? Does it need the attention of like LearnAU, and should you reach out to your instructional designers for something more specific? I don't want anyone to believe that they're in on this alone if they hit that button, because I want everyone to realize that we're here to support you. We're still learning too. Like I feel lucky enough that I've been teaching in Ultra for a couple of years that I can support many people. I have a few courses already in Ultra. So I look forward to see like anyone that wants to venture to hitting that little pencil in the corner and what to expect. And you don't have to go for it. It's just as simple as go back to your original course, and it goes through the transition process and you get your class back. So really think about like creating a more tidy class. It is much more user-friendly. It's much nicer when you look at it on a mobile device, which we know our students are doing much more.